Good morning. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in our opening hymn, which is Come Sing a Song With Me, number 346 in the gray hymnal, and the words are also on the screen. Please be seated.
You who are broken-hearted, who woke today with the winds of despair whistling through your mind, come in.
You who are brave but wounded, limping through life and hurting with every step, come in.
You who are fearful, who live with shadows hovering over your shoulders, come in. This place is sanctuary, and it is for you. You who are filled with happiness, whose abundance overflows, come in.
You who walk through your world with lightness and grace, who awoke this morning with strength and hope, you who have everything to give, come in.
This place is your calling, a riverbank to channel the sweet waters of your life, the place where you are called by the world's need. Here we offer love.
As we light our chalice this morning, may it remind us that here we receive in gratitude. Here we make a circle from the great gifts of breath, attention, and purpose.
Come in. Good morning. It is so good to see all of you. Welcome to the Eno River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, or ERUUF as we like to say. My name is Reverend Jacqueline Brett. I'm the lead minister here, and whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your race, your gender, identity, whomever you love, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, we welcome you here to create beloved community with us. If you are visiting with us for the first or perhaps even the second time, we invite you to rise in body or spirit so that we might give you an ERUUF welcome. And if you're online, please put your name in the chat box. We'd love to welcome you all. Please rise in body or spirit. Thank you all for choosing to spend this Sunday morning with us. And if you choose to come back again next week to this particular service, know that at 10 o'clock, we have a class for visitors and newcomers called the Inquirers class, and that takes place in the building next door. And we invite you to join that class or to attend that class, because that way you can get to learn a little bit about us and we get to learn something about you as well. Today is the first day of our religious exploration classes for our children. Yes. And so right after the time for all ages, the children will be sung out to their new fall classes, the new classes of this season. So we look forward to all of that. Now would be a great time to turn off or down any devices you might have on your person. And let us all, for a moment, okay. We can't turn off that device, though. So let's all center ourselves into this time and this place. And let's all together take a deep breath in and let it out. And for our Weaving Beloved community today, we will hear from our Chalice Circles and Covenant groups, and Ben Bailey will offer something on behalf of them.
Hello and good morning. My name is Ben Bailey. I've been an ERUUF member since earlier this year. My journey started here in 2020. And during that time, I found myself in the midst of some major life transitions. I was easing gingerly yet steadily into middle age. I found myself separating from a 12-year marriage, and I was reflecting on the trade-offs I'd made in my life up until then. I realized that my goals and ambitions had so narrowed my focus that I was woefully underinvested in developing new friendships and community. Somewhat ironically, I wasn't alone. According to a Harvard study around the same time, 36% of Americans report feeling serious loneliness. And a more recent study by the Surgeon General indicated that 1 in 2 Americans experience loneliness. Thankfully, I found this community. And I committed myself to exploring its many offerings. That commitment brought me to last year's Connections Fair and a conversation with Simon Kaplan, who I don't see here today, maybe he was in the morning service. And he encouraged me to really understand what this community is about. Join the Chalice Circle. Standing in front of you a year later, I'm glad that I did. Like so much of ERUUF, this new group was entirely a new experience for me. All new faces, in different phases of life, meeting monthly to explore at surprising depth various topics like life transitions, wonder, creativity, mortality, and the holidays. Not the same session. So much personal experience and human emotion was shared in a relatively short period of time. It felt like a connection incubator. From imminent retirement plans to reflecting on lost loved ones to aspirations of mountain living, excitement at the prospect of visiting grandchildren overseas, and health scares. The circle experience took us on an intimate journey through each other's lives. While sometimes a challenge, at least for me, to refrain from offering advice or commenting, we rather focused on intent listening with compassion to learn from each other and know each other better. And now, when I see those members in the fellowship hall or the choir, I can't help but smile in gratitude for their vulnerability, which allowed us to come to know each other more closely. While novel to me, my experience is not unique for Chalice Circle participants. The facilitated meeting structure and the covenant agreement among members reinforce a space where the seed of community is planted and nourished until its trunk is strong and its branches are free to explore topics of interpersonal discovery. If you would like to take part in that discovery, the time is now. The 2023-24 sign-up deadline is September 20th. Additional details and registration link can be found on the ERUUF website under the Connect tab, Groups, Covenant, Groups, and Chalice Circles. I'm very grateful for this community and my Chalice Circle experience. I hope that you all can say the same, or soon we'll be able to.
Good morning. It is time for a little time. Oh dear, please be careful. Tumbling can be fun, but we don't want to hurt ourselves. Not the softest floor. Oh my gosh. Can we scoot out just a little bit? Or this way? This way. No. Forward and out and sideways. Forward and sideways. There we go. I'm learning my directions too right now. Make some things. Can we go a little bit forward over here or sideways? Scooting some people in. Oh my gosh, so many people down here. So many people down here. Y'all keeping this space full today. We have a little story for us today. A story about how we include people, and it's called The Circles Around Us. The circles around us. We begin by drawing a circle on the ground along each shoe. Can you imagine just a little circle around you? Just around you. Can you imagine a little circle around y'all? Around each of y'all? A safe little place for just one person. Nobody in this circle but you. You got it. You could keep that circle closed to everyone but yourself, but that would be like a library with just one book on the shelf. Maybe that library doesn't work so well. It needs a few more books. So let's draw a bigger circle. Imagine a bigger circle for you and your family to share. A circle big enough for you and your family. Now you can see what all can happen in a circle full of care. A circle that can even include unicorn onesies. My favorite. Okay, I love this picture. I love great Granny and all her cats, which all have names. I'm just a little side note. It becomes, what? Oh, it's right here. It's also right there. It's in both places. It becomes a happier circle as more loved ones come to stay. The circle's getting full and bigger. And wouldn't it be even better if all your friends could come and play? Can you imagine a circle that is big enough for you, your family, and all of your friends? How big is that circle?
As big as our circle right now that we're making.
Yeah, pretty, maybe about as big as the circle, okay?
No, probably about as big as this room.
Maybe as big as this room, okay. So you stretch and draw your circle even bigger than it's been and let a few more people know they're welcome to come in. What if you invite like the friends of your friends and the friends of your family? How big is that circle?
Bigger than this room.
Probably bigger than this room, yeah, it might be. In the circles all around us, everywhere that we all go, There's a difference we can make and a love we can all show.
But you can all be people all in different places.
All in different places. And look at these flowers. They're taking flowers to everybody. Uh-oh.
The circles aren't full yet. That's making a whole line of people.
They're not full yet? Well, you've got some things coming for you in this story. I'm glad. There's a whole lot of languages up here, and they all are welcomes. Yeah? Some of these languages you know? Excellent. I know one or two of them. I bet you in this room people know a lot of them. Yet, there are still so many outside the circle who are different in all they do. Though it feels slightly uncomfortable, because this circle's about to get real big, y'all. It's definitely about to get bigger than we can draw with the chalk. We draw a bigger circle for them too. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Here's my other favorite picture in this book. It doesn't mean the circle is easy. It can get harder the more we share. And you have little pairs of people here who are disagreeing on things. Like, I only like singing. And somebody else says, I only like sports. Somebody else says, I only wear dresses. And somebody says, I like old comfy shorts. Somebody says, I'm team cake. Somebody says, I'm team pie. Some of us are both. Someone says, I'm really outgoing. Someone says, I'm quiet and shy. Hi, come on down. Come on down, join us. It's okay. You don't have to. But wonderful things can happen when love is known and felt everywhere. Oh my gosh, look at these other very special circles. Look at these other very special circles called donuts. As time passes, our eyes open. We see others we really care for. And that's when we ask ourselves, well, what's this circle really there for? So let us create bigger circles all around us for the rest of our days. Let our caring ripple out in a million little ways. Do you see the little circles here? But do you see is there a bigger circle with all these people in it? Do you see it? You don't see it. Somebody said the world? Might be. Let's take a look at this. In circles all around us, everywhere that we all go, there's a difference we can make and a love we can all show. Ready? We're about to see our biggest circle yet. Oh, yes. As our circles grow and grow, yes. And we watch them wonder-eyed. You knew it. Remember, the first circle started with just the love you hold inside. So as we welcome people today and every day, we think about our little circles and our bigger circles and our huge circles that might include the whole world. So think about those circles as you head off to your first Sunday back in religious exploration. Yes. It is. It is. Everything's that we all know each other. It's great. Go now.
would you please rise in body or spirit? And Reverend Jim is going to help you sing our next hymn, which is Where Do We Come From? Which is 10,003 in your teal hymnal, but the words are also on the screen. And we are going to sing it as a round. If we could go to the words. There we are. So we're going to sing it through once with you, and each line repeats. Here we go. Ready?
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going?
Where do we come
From where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going?
And please turn and greet your neighbor.
Please join me now in the spirit of meditation and prayer. Spirit of life, we pause this morning to listen deeply to the words and music that call us to our sacred purpose as a welcoming and radically inclusive fellowship where we recognize and value the humanity of all who come through our doors. As a vibrant, diverse, engaged community where spirits are nourished, ideas thrive, and love finds action. As a visible force for justice, equity, and compassion in our community, as we live into the ultimate transformative power of love. We pause again and listen. Listen to the voices of children as RE begins. We lift up prayers today for our children, families, and teachers, that they may know and feel the blessings of this congregation on their life's journey, that their religious exploration classes be a place that holds them in love and invites each and every one to grow in the fullness of the Unitarian Universalist faith. We give thanks for the joy and wisdom that children bring into our lives today and every day. Again, we listen. We listen for the voice of comfort. And as a community of care, we hold in our hearts all those impacted by major weather events, earthquake, hurricane, fire, flooding. We hold in our hearts Lisa Jones and her family after the death of her brother Frankie last week. Prayers and caring words are welcome and appreciated. We hold in our hearts David Tucker and family as they are working through illness. We hold in our hearts and lift up all those whose lives are touched by illness, loneliness, worry, or despair. May they find comfort and support. We hold in our hearts all children everywhere, that they may know healing and support, both physical and spiritual. We hold in our hearts all who seek a place of belonging and connection. And together, we honor this moment in silence. And so it is. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
Just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are, just as you are, without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are, just as you are, without changing a thing, just as you are, just as you are, I accept you, just as you are. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are, just as you are, without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you, just as you are. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are.
Good morning. In preparation for today's reflection, I found myself giving full attention to what it means to be radically welcoming. Now, you're probably thinking, Lisa, how on earth is this the first time you've really given some real thought to what it means to be radically welcoming? I mean, after all, you're a seminarian. I'm a little ashamed to say it aloud, but as a BIPOC queer person, I figured, heck, I'm one of the folks they're trying to welcome. I said, so I'll just show up, smile and look pretty. Then when someone who looks like me shows up, they will see me and know I am, of course, radically welcoming. However, during contemplation, I discovered that there are a few flaws in my theory. Now, it's not 100% broken because when I came to ERUUF in 2019, I had a life-altering moment when I looked at the chancel floor and saw Reverend Jacqueline Brett. In my 50-plus years of living across this country, I had never met a Black female queer minister that presented in a more spiritual than religious manner. I was awestruck and immediately wanted to sit at her knee and learn everything she was willing to teach me. I truly fangirled. So representation does matter. However, it's not all that I gave it credit to be. My theory fell apart when I remembered that life isn't just about Black or white, gender, the queer or straight. It's not just about me. I said, now, let me go back to that. It's not just about me. It's about the able-bodied and those requiring specific accommodations, those who may be white but are still having a crisis of the spirit, body, or heart, about those who are looking for help and hope as they traverse a major life change or loss. It's as much about who the visitor is and what they are looking for as it is about if and when I say hello, touch their elbow, welcome them back, and dare I say, stand and look pretty. It's also about how we, as a collective, feel to someone. It's not just how we interact with them, it's how they witness us interact with each other. About if we genuinely reflect a willingness to embrace each other's religious, spiritual, or humanist beliefs, or if they overhear us complaining about today's message or music in the breezeway. Because there's a chance that today's message may have been exactly what they came here to hear. Ancestor Maya Angelou famously stated, "I've learned that people will forget what you say, people will forget what you do, but people will never forget how you made them feel." Let's remember that it isn't just how we welcome them as individuals, it's about how we present as a collective. No one wants to place their most precious selves into a container that is already broken. May we make them and each other feel safe, whole, and loved. May it be so.
I love this place. Speaking of a welcome, I want to welcome somebody who's here visiting with us today, and a special person who had a major part in the establishment of this choir, Lelena Romero, who got BCC started. It is good to have you back. So good to have you here. And it is good to see all of you here today. You know, when I was driving in this morning, early this morning, I remembered something as I was thinking about the service and Reverend Jim's story and all of the circles that took place in the story. I was thinking about something I'd read by a activist and writer named Sabine Selassie, who talks about all of those circles and how at the center of the circle is usually are the people who have the most power, the people who are most centered, right? And then as you go out, further and further out, you come further from the center, and along that lettering is the margin. And as we saw in the story, that latter ring became the people who did not speak English, right? All the people of all the different languages. But what she talks about, and what I thought was pretty profound, is she said that, you know, everybody faces inward, is looking at the center, right, where all the power is. But it's those people who are on the outer rings of the circle who have an understanding, a knowledge, and awareness that the people who are in the center only are kind of focused on themselves most of the time, or they might even be looking at the people who are looking at them. But the people on the outside, as they try or make attempts to come forward into the center, they first go through another circle, and another circle. And so very often, when it's tempting to ignore those people who are out on those outer rings, they actually have a lot of wisdom that we can all learn from. And I thought that was pretty profound, especially as I was looking at that story, which was such a beautiful story. When my eldest son was a child of less than 3 years old, he was not only quite verbal, he had an unusually amazing gift. He could tell you the make and the model of any car he saw simply by looking at it, and he was less than 3 years old. One of his favorite things was for me to take him outside to play a game he called What Car Is It? As we walked through our Park Slope, Brooklyn neighborhood, I would point to a car and say, "What car is it, Chip?" And he'd say, "Volvo, Mustang, Honda Civic, Honda Accord, Ford Taurus, Subaru, Mercedes-Benz, or Mitsubishi," which actually drove his father crazy because my son called his father Da, and his father would say, "Call me Daddy," and he would go, "Da," and he would say, "How can you say Mitsubishi?" But you don't say Daddy. I think my son actually had a sense of humor. His ability to do this blew passersby and all the adults in his life away. And knowing of my son's obsession with cars, a family friend who was a creative director at an advertising agency where he had a major auto company as a client would pass along to him auto magazines. And my son would sit on the floor, flipping through the pages, staring intently at the pictures. And when he was done, he'd close the magazine shut, look at me, and say, "Mama, can we go outside and play What Car Is It?" And we would. And it was not long before the older children on our block noticed this phenomenon. And when my son would arrive home from preschool, they would stop playing amongst themselves and yell, "Chip is home!" And my son would run toward them, and they would grab him into their arms and hug him and swing him around and ruffle up his hair. And at some point, they'd ask him if he wanted to play his favorite game. "What car is it?" And as I sat and watched, he'd head off up and down the block, mesmerizing the older children with his knowledge. I tell you this story, and I hold this memory in my heart, not simply because of my son's amazing knowledge of cars, which he still has to this day as a grown man, but he does not work in the auto industry, although we would not have been surprised if he had. I hold the memory because of the welcome he received from the older children on the block. The memory of him running into their arms and being received with such warmth, such acceptance, and such joy. The confidence it instilled in him, and that he would be received that way by anyone, anywhere. Until one day, we were at the newly opened Liberty Science Center in New Jersey, which is an amazing and absolutely massively large place. And I could not find my son for what felt like an eternity, but it was only several minutes. Panic-stricken, I discovered him sitting on the knee of a man I did not know, and the man's son was sitting on his other knee. And when I came over, the father immediately understood the panic on my face, and he reassured me that everything was okay and told me that he had been surprised by the open friendliness of my child, who had walked over to him and his son and began chatting away about the computer that they were looking at and simply sat on his knee. "Maybe he's a little too friendly," the man sheepishly said to me. And so, though I did believe this person was okay, it was at that point that I had to teach my child not to walk away from the grown-ups he was with, and that not every friendly person was actually okay. When we, all of us, arrive in a place, there is something deep within us that longs to experience a welcome, such as the one my son experienced with the neighborhood kids and assumed in others. No matter how many layers of protection and guarded wariness we might cover ourselves with, that the world might have taught us is necessary and wise. Underneath it all is a deep-seated desire for a connection and acceptance, for an unguarded, sincere welcome in which we are received with warmth, acceptance, and joy in the fullness of who we actually are, who we authentically are, and all the gifts we bring with us. To be able to run into a metaphorical embrace of others we encounter in the world, which ultimately says, you are accepted, and yes, you belong. As most of us know, this does not happen in most places or most of the time. Nonetheless, we still long to simply be acknowledged as a human being by another human being. Yesterday, I arrived here at ERUUF while a fairly large non-ERUUF group was meeting. I saw two people standing near the planters over by the parking lot at the entrance to the campus, and they were eagerly looking at my car as I drove into the parking lot. However, as I stepped out of my car and headed in their direction, they immediately turned their backs to me. But because I know that I belong in this place, here at ERUUF, and I have no idea why they turned their backs to me, though I could imagine several reasons why, ranging from reasonable ones to absolutely unreasonable ones, I ultimately accepted that their actions had less to do with me and more to do with them and their incapacity to extend welcome, even a superficial one, to someone who was unexpected or unknown to them. I could not help but find myself wondering, what if I had been someone new to their group, trying to figure out where to go, trying to understand what was going on? What these folks could have done differently, of course, was to perhaps offer a simple, polite greeting, if not a verbose welcome, then a small nod of the head that acknowledged that they had indeed seen me as I knew they had. Though superficial, it certainly would have exhibited more hospitality than turning one's back. Organizations that teach others how to extend welcome, particularly to church groups, and I've been to a few of these trainings that are offered, they usually begin by teaching that we should offer superficial niceties, which are quite important. And when the desire is to welcome groups who are different than the majority, the recommendation is to pay attention to cultural cues such as the paint color on the walls, the decor and art, and the language that we use or the food that we serve, all to signal to others that we get it, and maybe we even possibly get them. And what we want is to extend welcome. The problem, though, is that people's behavior doesn't always line up with these externals, what I like to call moving around the furniture in the room. Though it might set the stage for someone to sense that they're welcome, something is nonetheless missing. Design leader Dr. Susie Wise, who is a former director of the Stanford D School or Design School, which focuses on solving issues of equity and how environments are designed, says that when people enter a space, it means that they're entering into the story of that space and the history of the space. She says that it's important to pay attention to patterns exhibited by people when they enter. Do people of particular backgrounds feel invited in, but then stumble once they enter? Who feels they can join the story and who does not? I was glad to hear Ben talking about how he felt he could join the story here. In other words, who feels welcome to join the story, to belong, and who does not? We can ask ourselves, or even perhaps them, if we see that happening, why is that? And in seeking to create equity, an important Unitarian Universalist value, how might we address the answers that we uncover when we ask? We UUs are in general known for our more expansive welcome when compared to other faith traditions. It is in our history, summed up in our sense that when we gather, we do not have to think alike in order to love alike. It is in our principles that we affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person and respect the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. And in our shared values of equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, and justice, with love holding the center. It has been in our welcome of the LGBTQ community into our congregations as far back as the 90s, which sounds like it was just yesterday, but it was actually 30 years ago. We did that before most other congregations were even thinking about that. And in 2017, when the people of Durham staged a massive march downtown after getting news that the KKK was planning to meet there, and later weeks when Durham clergy met to discuss what our united stance would be in the face of organized acts of racism and hate, it was generally acknowledged among the clergy present that we UUs were farther ahead than most liberal and progressive denominations in our internal work toward anti-racism and anti-oppression. And yet, as we are also the first to admit amongst ourselves, we have quite a ways to go in this as well. No shame, no blame, just self-awareness. Not only in the area of race, but in other areas as well. We are not perfect, but we are willing to be transformed, just as we work to transform lives in the world around us. Might it ever be possible for the people in this room to look more like the city in which we reside? Is that difficult to imagine? Is it unimaginable? Who potentially stumbles in finding a place of belonging after entering our doors? And is that okay with us? Who might be in this space with us and is not? Are they young people, disabled people, trans people, men, more men, people of color, people whose first language is not English? Who else? If we were as radically and fully welcoming as it is possible to be, what would such a radical welcome require of us? Episcopal priest Stephanie Spellers defines radical welcome as the spiritual practice of embracing and being changed by the gifts, presence, voices, and power of the other. The people who systemically are cast out of or marginalized within a church, a denomination, or society. And she importantly points out that regardless of the demographic profile of any congregation, there is still a margin, a disempowered other who is in our midst or just outside our door. Radical welcome is not simply something that we do at our front door, though that is important. It is not simply in our decor, though that has meaning as well. Radical welcome, Spellers says, is concerned with the transformation and opening of individual hearts, congregations, and systems so that the other might find in our community a warm place and a mutual embrace and be transformed by authentic relationships with the margins. Spellers interviewed more than 200 people in congregations around the country who have been attempted to embrace a radical welcome. What has most struck me in her research is that she says as these congregations and people reported their successes, hopes, and failures, she came to value these congregations for their sheer humanity and their humility. They fall short, and yet they keep trying. And in moving forward in the journey of understanding and becoming rooted in radical welcome, she advises that it's important to stay rooted in hope rather than paralyzing guilt or finger pointing, whether it's at ourselves or at others. And to not be afraid, to keep asking ourselves, what new thing are we being called to be and do? And what support, education, what is that? I think I'm hitting the mic. And what support, education, training, and practices would help us to follow through on what we might imagine for ourselves and this congregation. Radical welcome requires multiple things. Yes, doing the basics. I did not hit it this time. I'm sorry, it's my headset? Oh, okay, thank you. Oh, the connection. Oh, it is the connection. It's right here on my side. Thank you, David. I will keep my arms out here. All right, so where was I? Okay. Okay, radical welcome requires multiple things. Doing the basics of welcoming others, remembering our home training, if we had such training, or simply connecting with what it feels like when we know we've been authentically welcomed into a space. When someone looks at us in the eye and gives us a warm greeting. It also means that we take a fresh look through an equity lens at how we do things in our policies, our operations, and even in our small groups. To be radically welcoming is not simply a Sunday morning exercise or something that we do when we are gathered as a large group as we are now. But a radical welcome, as Lisa alluded to, is especially important in our smaller groups when people are daring to test the waters, to discover whether they will be invited in to join this story, to be welcomed, accepted, and to belong. A radical welcome means we're being intentional about our goals and plans as we continue in our mission to transform lives by building a free and inclusive covenantal religious community through spirit, service, justice, and love. I believe our intention of creating radical welcome can be seen in the goals of our new strategic plan, and I won't get wonky on you, but I do invite you to look at it. You can find it right on our website. And I encourage you to reflect as you consider it and our involvement in our spiritual and liberatory project of co-creating beloved community. But more important than any of this, and what would allow for any of this to become more than new jargon we've got, radical welcome. That's not what we're doing here. But we want to create an authentic radical welcome so that those who cross the threshold of this place, of ERUUF, in order for us to do that, it requires a moving of our hearts. For each of us to go beyond simply knowing something about all this, about racial equity and inclusion, about disability or LGBTQ, gender identity, or any form of inclusion, because as committed UUs, many of us do know something about all of this. But the invitation in radical welcome is, as Speller says, to broaden, deepen, and launch our welcome to the next level. It is a deep, fierce, urgent commitment to the ideals and roots of our faith, of who we say we are as Unitarian Universalists, and perhaps even more importantly, who we long to become in this living tradition of ours. For the even greater expansion of our individual hearts to love, to have compassion, and to welcome. This is how we ultimately widen our circles, wider and wider still, until our circle is a collective acknowledgement, as in the story, of the oneness of which we are all a part. This opening of hearts requires our contemplation and our self-reflection about what creates resistance within us. What are our personal barriers and fears? Where are our stopping places, the places where we stop imagining, stop wanting to move in newer directions, lose faith that we might be able to create the world our hearts might imagine because the work is too arduous, it's uncomfortable, and darn it, it just takes too long. We all have these places. None of us is exempt. We all have these barriers and these fears. A very good friend of mine said that we can begin this exercise of inner contemplation about this by simply giving our own resistance a radical welcome. To simply sit down and be with it, to explore it, to question it, and let it know that it has nothing to fear. It is in this self-awareness of understanding what our own limits of welcome are and in what we might do to grow past them, should we wish to grow past them, that the transformative ability of a radical welcome can first take place within each of us, which is how we can best prepare to offer welcome to others. Let us make it so, my friends. Amen, ashe, and blessed be. We weave the fabric of beloved community as we draw our circle wider and commit ourselves to offering, as we are able, our time, talent, and treasure given as we cultivate hearts of generosity toward our mission, vision, and our work in the world. As the greeters come forward to pass the plates, if you do not have cash or checks on hand, we invite you to point your device to that QR code on the screen, and it will take you directly to the ERUUF giving portal, or you might, there's a card with a QR code in your pews. You can use that as well, or simply go to eruf.org/give.
We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. Just because you look like
thanks for all the gifts of our beloved community, the gift of music, the gift of just simply being able to gather together, contributing our time, our talent, and being a part of this story, and even the gift of being able to invite others in. May we be radically welcoming, and I will turn it over to Wendy once again.
Please rise in body or spirit. We are going to sing Wo Ya Ya, number 1020, in your teal hymnal, and the lyrics are on the screen as well. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Wo ya ya, wo ya ya, wo ya ya, wo ya ya. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Wo ya ya, wo ya ya, wo ya ya, wo ya ya, wo ya ya ya, wo ya ya, wo ya ya ya, wo ya ya ya.
Our closing words this morning are from the Reverend Joseph M. Cherry, who writes, "If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort and brave enough to be clumsy there and loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we, as people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving, and also so radically welcoming. Go in peace, my friends. Go in love, and blessed be."